Hey you, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So why would you watch this video? Well, if you don't know how to delegate or you tried delegating and it didn't work out the way you envisioned it will work out, maybe you're even, oh, I'm done with delegating, I can just do everything better, but then you are stuck because you can't grow past, you only have 24/7, you have to sleep, you have to eat, you have to, have some time for yourself, your family, friends, and, what's left? 10, 12, 14 hours, and you can't push past that. And so at some point, you start being the bottleneck in your business. And that's where delegating starts coming into place, because if you don't delegate, well, your business will not be able to grow. The second benefit is your people will start growing if you start delegating more, and you want your people to grow. You don't want to have people in your company who are worse than you. You want people that surround you who are better than you. That's when you get freedom. That's when you become the entrepreneur. Not when you are the smartest guy in the room. If you are the smartest guy in the room, then you're probably in the wrong room. So you have to start developing your people, and delegation is one very good way to approach it and to do it. So, well, where should we start? Let's say that we want to write here delegating, and because we want to become good at this. And so what would be the first thing? Well, the first thing that I want to discuss with you is firehouse versus fireground. Now, maybe you already watched the video that I did on firehouse versus fireground, but very quickly, firehouse is the stuff that you do that's strategic, growth orientated, you learn, you grow, you reflect, it's when you develop people. So all the more on the business stuff that will help you grow faster and further. And fireground things are really things that need to happen on a day-to-day basis in your business. So tasks, to-dos, and stuff like that. Now, firehouse things, probably you won't delegate many of those, maybe not even any of them, but at least not many. So this is not where you look for opportunities for delegation, especially not in the beginning. This is where you start looking for opportunities for delegation, fireground tasks. So if you don't know how your day even looks like, because you're completely on autopilot and you just go through the day, one good exercise that you could do is to start tracking your time. And what I did when I did this was I used is it called the Eisenhower thingy, where you have 4 boxes, and here you have important and urgent, and then non-important and non-urgent tasks. And then you have a line here in between, and everything that's below the line is definitely something that you should delegate out as fast as humanly possible, and really focus on urgent and important tasks. Then later you can start delegating some of those, and again, those would be then split into the firehouse versus fireground. And this stuff should be just fireground. Okay, yeah, me and my writing. Maybe I should put learning how to write on the fireground. Okay. So this is how I did time tracking, and then I started to figure out, based on the task that I saw in my time tracker, where do they fit? Was it urgent? Was it important? Was it non-urgent, not important? And that's how I started combing and figuring out, okay, so this is how my day is spent. And a big aha moment was that things that really only I should and could do, and that are really either urgent and important, on average, took me about an hour to 1 hour and 30 minutes a day. And I was freaking working 12 to 16 hours a day. So you see how much stuff I was doing that I should be delegating. And that was a huge wake-up call for me, because the thing is, if I can increase this by 2x or 3x, my business will increase, my business will grow. And that's what happened later on. By doing less, spending less time working, but doing the stuff that really matters, I was able to my business growth and increase the speed of with which the business grows. And nowadays everybody is joking and telling me that I have doctoral degree in delegation, and I'm really the delegating guru. So just saying. But yeah, nowadays whenever a task is heading our way, I don't ask myself how, I ask myself who. And I'm very, very strict what passes through that sieve, and the who is me. So very, very careful. Most of the time it's no, what did I say? It's the who, not the how. The how would be how do I do it, who would be who does it, and not me. Sorry for the confusion there. Yeah, it's a lot to talk about, and my mind then starts wandering, because I really don't want to forget anything, so that I can really teach you as much as possible, so that you become great at delegation. Now, another funny thing here is, I'm not sure if you ever heard of servant leadership. If you haven't, look it up, and I do plan to make a few videos on servant leadership, because it's very, very important. Because if you look at research from the last few years, people are really leaving companies if there's not servant leadership present, if they don't have the opportunities for growth, and so on. So those things are becoming more and more important when it comes to employees. So you becoming servant leader should be quite a huge priority. And doing delegating correctly will also increase your servant leadership, because if you do it properly, people will grow, you will not micromanage them, you will lead them, and it will be beneficial for other things, not just shit getting done. But yeah, delegating. So one very important thing to remember when we are delegating is, when we delegate a task. And we have to put this in red, not responsibility. Hope I'm not mispronouncing this, or not mispronouncing. Well, I hope my grammar is okay. So responsibility for the completion of the task, for the quality of the task done, is on you, person delegating, not on the one who has to do the task. What do I mean by that? You need to go through series of questions and really approach delegating in the right manner, depending who you delegated something to, because some people might be much highly skilled and you can just delegate and forget. With some other people, maybe you need to have regular check-ins, milestones, maybe you need to offer them some mentoring, maybe you need to support them in some other way so that they can increase knowledge, experience, skill, and so on to be able to accomplish what you delegated to them. Now, very important, when you start delegating and you become good at delegating, people below you, if you are the business owner, so your C-level, your leadership team will learn from you, and you should teach them and encourage them to delegate more. And so they will have more time for Firehouse, and they will be able to add more value to the company in the Firehouse. And so the thing just trickles down, and you will create this lovely culture of servant leadership within your company. Also very important. Okay, so let me check. I have some notes here because I really, this is a huge topic and I didn't want to forget anything. So let me see. Okay, so let's go to the next step. And I have a document here that I want to open and we go through it. So the easiest way to become good at delegating is to really not do it in the moment, but to prepare yourself. Firehouse time. So sit down, write down things that you want to start delegating, and then make a little plan for each of those tasks. And whenever we are doing this with our clients, and I haven't yet met a single business owner where this wasn't at least one of the huge topics that we had to cover. They were all struggling with delegation, or they gave up on delegating because things were not done correctly, and so on. So I prepared a template, and if you want this template, I mean, you can just screenshot it, but if you want the template, just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll send it over. I mean, it's a super easy template. You'll see in a second. Oh, we have to click on the I. Okay, so checklist for effective leadership, delegation checklist for effective leadership. The first thing that we want to figure out is task identification and clarity. So what is the task I need to delegate? So define the task clearly and specifically, the SMART technique, specific, measurable, realistic, attainable, and time defined. What are the desired outcomes of this task? So how will I say, okay, this task was well done? Ask yourself that, because that will tell you how to communicate to the other person that you're delegating to. What is the deadline for completing the task? Very often we just give tasks and we don't give any deadlines. In business, it should be a rule. Who does what by when? It should always be clear who needs to do what and by when. So that's a very important thing. And are there any specific milestones or checkpoints throughout the task? So milestones, do we need to update or send anything maybe to the client or to some other team members? Checkpoints, so do we need to check in, how to check in, when to check in, and so on. So this is really, really important part. Now, the second part is to be really careful in choosing who you delegate to. Who's the best person to handle these tasks? So you consider skills, interests, workload. Does this task align with their career goals and personal development plan? I hope you have some development plans for your employees. And that's another thing that we will cover in future videos, the whole performance management, career development, and just people, developing people, because you need strong people around you. The stronger the people around you, the better they are, the more your business can thrive. Don't let your ego get in the way and think like, oh, I need to be the best at everything. If you are the best at everything, you are not a business owner. You are an employee, just self-employed. You're not employed by somebody, but self-employed. What is their current workload like? Because if we delegate something to somebody who is up to here in other tasks, they might not do it with good enough quality. They might not get to it at all. They might not do something else which can, backfire and so on. So we need to ensure that they have the capacity to take on the new responsibility. Now, assessing the readiness of the person that you delegated to. Do they have necessary knowledge and skills, or do we need to, create a video or a document, or maybe have a meeting with them to show them what needs to be done? And this is a good opportunity to start building your internal knowledge base as well. If you're delegating a task, I don't know. Let's say you are paying all the bills for your company and you want to delegate that task to your executive assistant. And let's say she never did that before, or he never did that before. So what I would do is I would sit at my computer, start screen share, and just record my screen. Log in here, do this, go here, input this data, check this, verify this, and I would just walk them through. In this way, well, first of all, we don't both have to find time at the same time. I might do that screen recording in the off hours when I have more time to do something like that. The other thing is, if I at some point change my executive assistant, I don't have to do it manually again. I can just say, hey, I would love for you to do the bills paying. Here's a video to teach you how to do it. So that information stays with your company forever, or as long as you use the same bank and they don't change something. But I hope you understand what I want to say here. So think how I can do even more foundational work by building internal knowledge base, not just for that particular person, but for future people who might have to do this task sometime in the future. If they are not skilled enough, what additional training or resources will they need? Do I need to buy them a course? Do I need to hire a coach? Do I need to buy them a book, or just point them in the right direction, and so on? Or maybe somebody else on our team can mentor that person so that they get to a higher level of knowledge and skills. Have they performed similar skill tasks successfully in the past? So is this somebody who already did this multiple times, so just set it and forget it? Or, when we were talking earlier, do I need some checkpoints in between? Because if the person is new, why would I wait 2 weeks to see what they did and then give them negative feedback, when I can just say, hey, Johnny, share your Google Doc with me so I can check it every few days and see if you're going in the right direction, and give you feedback timely so that we can course correct and not wait for you to fail at the end of 2 weeks. But I'm invested into this process. I want you to be successful. That's something a servant leader does. So see how servant leadership is very connected with everything that we're doing here. Basically, I could call this delegation for servant leaders. Providing support. What tools and resources are necessary? I don't know. Maybe they need a new computer. Maybe they need certain software. Maybe they need, I don't know, an iPad. Just do they need something else to accomplish that task? And did I provide them with that? Am I providing clear and accessible instructions or documentation? Now, one thing that I used to do here was, when I sat down with somebody to delegate something, I would ask them to send me a short recap via email. What did they understand? What they have to do, when they have to do it, what's the deadline? And just from that recap, I would quickly see if we are on the same page. How will I communicate expectations and the scope of authority they have over the task? Like, can they make certain executive decisions, or do they have to run everything by you before they do something? So it's very important to really lay out clear rules of this thing. Ensuring accountability and support. So how will I track and monitor? What kind of feedback mechanism will be in place? You know, is it a Google Doc and I just write you comments, or do I send you voice messages? Do we do a check-in on Zoom every few days and so on? So how frequently should we check in or have some updates? Maybe I'll just say, you know what, after every milestone, just send me a quick video update, and that's it. Like, it really depends on the task and a whole lot of things. So this is not, you should always go through everything exactly as it's written here, but this should be like a general guide on how to approach delegation. And yes, this is something that you should go through each time when you're trying to delegate a task. After a while, you become good at this and you start connecting the dots in your head and you can do it very quickly. But in the first, I don't know, few months, before you delegate something, even if it's a very small thing, just have these questions in front of you, go through them and see if you tick all the boxes. Encouraging autonomy and growth. So am I prepared to allow the delegatee to make decisions within the scope of this task? How can I encourage the delegatee to take initiative or provide innovative solutions? You know, so, we are encouraging that you try and innovate, even if it means some failures and setbacks. So you really need to be clear on communicating those things. They're not just to be understood, because many different leaders have different expectations. You can't just expect them to figure it out by themselves. What opportunities for learning or growth does this task provide for the delegatee? So think about that, think, if they do a little bit more research, they will learn a little bit more. So let's do it that way so that they can grow even faster and even more. And then very important stuff, post-task reflection. You should do it yourself, but also maybe in bigger task, or if you see it that it can bring value to the other person, you should do a wash-up reflection session together with them after the whole thing is finished. So and you just go from start to finish, like, was everything communicated correctly in the beginning? How was the communication during? How was my support during? Was I micromanaging you, or was I a leader? What are your feedbacks, experiences? What did you learn from this? And how can we do this better next time? How can I become a better servant leader, and how can I become better at delegating? What else could I have done to serve you even better and help you finish this successfully? So yeah, just go through these questions, and they will help you a lot in delegating properly. And then when you do it like this, things will happen. Things will be done correctly, on time, good quality, and then little by little, you will have less and less tasks on your plate. I mean, delegating, it is interesting because at the beginning, it does take more time and energy from you to put all this in motion versus just doing it by yourself. But if you're just doing it by yourself, you will do it forever. But here, yes, you have this upfront investment of your time and energy, but then once people around you learn how to do this stuff, you never have to do it again, and you can really focus on your firehouse and do the things that really bring the most value to your business. New product development, new service development, attacking new markets, growing vertically, horizontally, bringing new leaders in, being servant leader and growing people around you, and just things that you can do for your own self-help, your own personal development, business development, networking opportunities, branding, PR opportunities that you can take on because you have more free time and stuff like that. I mean, I can just go on and on and on with how much stuff, how much you will benefit by not being on the fire ground. So how long is this video already? Let me check quickly. Oh boy, 20 something minutes, almost 25 minutes. Well, I better wrap up. But again, it is a big topic. I'm honestly not even sure if I did cover everything, or is there are some other things that I could open and talk about here. But yeah, you know what? If you are watching up to here, then you're probably very interested in this topic. If there are questions on your mind that are still unanswered, write them below in the comments. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Let me know. I'll make a new video. I'll make 10 new videos. I really want you to become good at delegating, because this is where, you know, your proper entrepreneurial growth happens. You will have more time, you'll have more capacity for the stuff that really matters. You will be servant leader and you will grow people around you. Like, I mean, how much more can you get from a simple thing like delegating? And everybody's so afraid of delegating, or at least most people are afraid of delegating. So yeah, enough talking. Comment, reach out on LinkedIn. I'll see you next week. Every week, one video. I really appreciate when you guys tell me what you want me to make videos about, and I'll just continue showing up every Wednesday with new video and trying to do the best I can to give you as much value as possible. But for today, that's it. Take care.